creators, it's Melissa from Melissa's Creations. Today we have a very special episode for you because it's my birthday. I'm really excited that the Creators Blog Hop has fallen on the day of my birth. I think it is really fun, and because of that we are celebrating by making this hop all about birthday cards. So be sure that you scroll down into the description box, click on my coordinating blog post link, and hop along to all of the other amazingly talented demonstrators who are participating in this month's Creators Blog Hop. I'm really excited to show you how I came up with this card here. I am using the Petal palette stamp set and coordinating Thinlits dies. That is my favorite set, and I thought it would be perfect to use on a birthday card. We also have this beautiful buffalo check background stamp, and I'm going to show you how to get this awesome round robin style using your Stamparatus. I'm so excited to get this card started. Let's dive right in. So the cardstock that you will need today is one piece of Whisper White cardstock cut at 3 3/4 by 5. Another piece of Whisper White cardstock cut approximately 4 by 5 1/4. This is just for our scrap piece so that we can cut out our circle and our sentiment. I have a piece of BLACKBERRY Bliss cardstock. This is a matte and it is cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And of course I have a standard card base in mint macaron. This is cut at 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. To get our stamps to be nice and round in a uniform pattern on our circle, we need to create our template. And to do that, I've cut a piece of our grid paper just slightly smaller than 6 by 6 so that it'll run through the big shot. I have my magnetic platform here, one cutting plate. I'm going to put my grid paper down onto that. And I have the largest square from the Stitched Shapes Framelits dies. I'm going to cut a square out of the middle, and you don't have to make sure that it is in the center. At this point, that doesn't matter. You can cut this square anywhere in the middle-ish of this grid paper. So we're gonna run that through first. And now that I have that square cut, I'm going to put this back down and I'm going to cut my next square. And now we have a square behind the diamond shape. So we're going to cut this second layer out. And now we have our template to help us stamp on the Stamparatus. Using the same size framelit that you used to cut out your template, we're going to cut a square out of our scrap piece of Whisper White. And this is what we're going to be doing our stamping on. Okay, now we have our Stamparatus out. I'm going to bring in my template that I cut on the big shot. Here is the Petal palette stamp set. It comes with 2 stamp cases, and the image that we're going to use is this fun little flower down here. So I'm going to grab that out, and I'm going to set it rubber side down on my template, and I want to make sure that I am inside the square. So what I mean by that is you can see that the square that I've cut is here. I want my stamp to be lower than that line. If we take a ruler and put it right along the top of that square, you can see that my stamp is below that. That's where I want to make sure that I'm stamping. So now with my Stamparatus plate, I have my plate on the left hand side. I'm going to pick up that stamp. And it's okay if your paper moves a little bit. That's what the template is for. I'm going to ink that up with my BLACKBERRY Bliss Classic Stampin' Pad. And then we're going to stamp it. And now we're going to rotate our square 1 notch. So now instead of the diamond shape, it's the square shape. I'm going to ink up my stamp again. And we're going to stamp it down. And you can see that we have a beautiful placement and it's starting to make a circle shape. So again, I'm going to turn it 1 notch back to a diamond. ink up, stamp down, and we're going to continue doing that all the way around. And there we go. We have a beautiful circle done with that fun round robin technique. We're going to be cutting a circle out of this, so I'm going to set it aside for now, and I'm going to be stamping my sentiment. For this, I'm using Best Wishes because that is the stamp from this set that I think encompasses the happy birthday theme. So now I'm bringing in my scratch piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to stamp this right down here because we're also going to cut it out on the Big Shot. Now we're going to take our Whisper White card mat and we're going to put that right on the Stamparatus, kind of right in the middle there. We're going to use our Buffalo Check background stamp. I'm going to pull that out. I'm just going to lay it completely flat over my Whisper White card mat. I'm going to pick that up with my Stamparatus. I'm going to carefully lift it up so that my paper stays in position. I don't want to put my magnets on the paper because I won't be able to stamp it if my magnets are in the way, since my stamp is larger than my paper. I'm going to take some mint macaron ink in our classic Stampin' pad, and I'm just going to ink all of that huge stamp up. And the reason I'm doing this on the Stamparatus is because I want to make sure that I can double stamp it and make sure it stamps in the same place if I don't get a clear stamp the first time. So I'm going to stamp that down. Give it a little bit. And then I'm going to carefully let that stamp come back up so that my paper stays in the same place. And you can see there's a couple spaces that could use a little bit more ink. So I'm going to go ahead and focus on those spots. All right, that looks pretty good, so I'm going to use that. So now I'm going to take one of these circles from the Layering Circles Framelits dies, and I'm just going to choose one that will cut out right around my images. And then I'm also going to choose the coordinating scallop that is just slightly larger than that circle, and I'm going to set that aside for a moment. I'm also going to put on my Blackberry Bliss card mat. I'm going to take that scallop. You want to make sure that when you are cutting out your circle piece on this piece of cardstock that you leave a border around the edge here. I'm also going to put on my sentiment here. We're going to be cutting that out using the label framelit from the Petals and More Thinlits dies. So I'm going to get that guy out. And we're just going to set that down on here. Now I am going to cut this out twice with this label. So the first time I cut it out, I want to make sure that it is as centered as possible and that it is as straight as I can get it in that label. And I have it off to the right hand side of that die. You can see there's a lot of white space here, but we're going to take care of that in a second. All right, so here is this piece all cut out and ready to go. And we also have our scallop cut out of our Blackberry Bliss cardstock, and we're also using this piece, so we're getting a twofer out of that one. And now for our label here. I want to shorten this label, so I'm going to put it right back over the top of that label, and I'm just going to scoot it over until it cuts out the part that I want. So now I am able to shorten my sentiment by layering this back over. All right, now we're going to start assembling some pieces. So first of all, I'm going to put my buffalo check piece onto my Blackberry Bliss cardstock. And now I'm going to layer my circle onto my scallop circle. To do that, I'm going to use some dimensionals. I want to trim down this sentiment so that it's a little more narrow. So what I'm going to do is take my snips and I'm going to cut it from this first little step right here. And I'm going to cut it straight across to the step on the other side. I'm going to do that for the bottom as well. And then I'm going to put some snail adhesive right on the back underneath the wishes. I'm not going to put any adhesive on this side yet. We'll do that in just a minute. So now I'm going to place that right between those flowers here. And on the back of this, I'm going to put a little bit of snail in the middle and get out my linen thread. So you can see that this is the old style. It used to come on these little cardboard sheets here, and we would get kinks in them. And to eliminate that problem, I just run it between my thumb and my forefinger, and that gets those kinks out. It comes on a spool now, which is much nicer, so we don't have to deal with the kinks. So I'm going to just kind of randomly, in just a mishmash of different directions, I'm going to thread that through, circle it around, figure eight it, whatever you want to call it, just so that we get some awesome little loops back here. We'll trim that off and we'll just tuck that right down. I'm going to take a piece of Scotch tape just to hold down all those little loops so they don't go anywhere. Now we're going to take some more dimensionals, and I have run out, so I'm using the very end scrap pieces on my sheet here. Now what you want to do on the edge of your piece here, you want to double up on your dimensionals so that it keeps its nice shape. So I'm going to just cut a couple of these, and we're going to stack them on top of each other so that it doesn't get flat. So we'll put one down, and then we'll put our other right on top. All right, so now we can set that down onto our card. Now I have some of that beautiful burlap ribbon. We're going to cut a small length of that to wrap around on the bottom. I'm going to get my Scotch tape back out again so that I can tape it onto the back and it will stay in place. I'm going to use my bone folder to give my card base a crease. And here we go with some more dimensionals to pop that up. And for a few finishing touches, I'm going to use some of our basic adhesive backed sequins. We're just going to sprinkle a couple around our card. And there we are, creators. There is our awesome birthday card using the round robin technique and that beautiful buffalo check background. You can see the differences between the two. This first card that I made as a sample for this birthday card is a lot larger. The background here is a lot larger and the frame is narrower. I also did not add the linen thread onto this card like I have on here. And I really like this version better. I like seeing more of that beautiful Blackberry Bliss color, and I also like the addition of the linen thread behind my focal point up here. I just think it looks a lot nicer. I do have this in a larger circle as well instead of the smaller version here. So there's a lot of differences, but overall I think that they are both gorgeous cards, and I am so pleased with how they turned out. I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you did, please give the video a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to click that bell icon so you can be notified when I upload new videos. You can follow me online at melissascreations.com and on Facebook at facebook.com/MKre8tions. I'm also on social media. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest with the handle @MKre8tions. Thank you so much for joining me on this video today. Please be sure you check out the other participants in the Creators Blog Hop by scrolling down to the description box and clicking on my coordinating blog post link. I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye!